Lafitte, John Lafitte, John Lafitte, John Lafitte, John Lafitte.
Welcome, my fellow Jolly Rogers.
I know that voice.
We have several pressing matters to discuss this evening, so let us begin. As you may or may not have heard, certain city officials are attempting to deny us the right not only to gather in public places during the Mardi Gras season, but they have also seen fit to...
Shoot, I forgot to turn off my cell phone.
It seems we have an uninvited guest. Get him!
Let go! You're making a big mistake! Let go of me! Look, I'm not here to make trouble. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Can't we just talk about this? Where are you taking me? If you just let me explain!
Why, it seems our trespasser is of the female variety. Let's have a look.
That's right. You know me and I know you, Dr. Buford. And I also know that you were the one who attacked my friend over at the Beaulay Mansion today. And if you don't tell me why right now, I promise you are going to be in one big world of hurt.
The young lady's clearly upset about something. Clarence, take over the meeting while I try to find out why she's making all these crazy accusations.
They're not crazy and you know it!
I will tell you everything, Miss Marvin, in private.
And he did. He told me everything, Nancy. I bluffed him into confessing. You would have been so proud of me. Oh, and before I forget, the name they chanted at the start of the meeting was Jean Lafitte.
Jean Lafitte. Great. Now, what did Dr. Buford tell you?
Okay. First off, he said that with his dying breath, Bruno Beaulay directed him to steal the painting of Henry's parents and lock it up in Henry's parents' crypt. Bruno seemed to think that way Henry would wind up with the crystal skull instead of somebody else.
So Dr. Buford dressed up in his skeleton man costume, stole the canvas, and hid it in the crypt like Bruno asked.
That must have been when Renee saw Mr. Death.
But then, Dr. Buford had second thoughts and decided to heck with Henry. He wanted that crystal skull for himself. So this afternoon, he dressed up in his skeleton man costume again and snuck into Henry's house so he could get the key from that mini cemetery and retrieve the painting he'd left in that crypt, knowing the painting would somehow lead him to the skull.
Only I walked in on him and ruined everything.
Right. And now that we're onto him, he says he no longer wants the skull. He's embarrassed that he allowed his superstitious side to get the best of him and says whoever finds the skull is welcome to it. At least that's what Dr. Buford said. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh what?
I told him you were looking for the skull.
That's all right.
Actually, I told him you were on the verge of finding it.
Why would you tell him that?
I don't know, I got carried away. So if he lied to me and he really does still want the skull, then he might come after you. He left right after we talked, and I don't think he went back into that meeting. What if he's on his way over there?
Don't worry, I'll be fine. Why don't you just... Whoa, that bolt of lightning was huge. Anyway, why don't you just go relax and I'll be back at the hotel before you know it, okay? Bess? Hello? Bess, you there? Nope, she sure isn't. haven't done that. I haven't done that. All done. All done. Can't check that off yet. All done.
Yes?
Do you know anything about the crystal skull that was in that box of junk you sold to Zeke's?
There wasn't any crystal skull in that box.
Are you sure? It would have been inside another box.
Well, I did throw in some smaller boxes. Like I said, I was just grabbing stuff. Was it valuable?
All I really know for sure right now is that it's missing.
Great. Be just my luck to have sold something that wasn't junk to that glorified trash collector.
Did you know that Bruno was a member of a group called the Jolly Rogers?
No. Should I care?
Maybe not, but I care. They apparently ran around wearing Skeleton Man costumes.
Don't know anything about it, sorry.
How come your great-uncle's crypt is in the garden and not in the cemetery?
Don't ask me. It's kind of weird. Apparently he built the crypt himself, but he never indicated in his will or anywhere else that that's where he wanted to be buried. I stuck his ashes in there anyway and had the thing inscribed. If that's not what he wanted, too bad.
I'm going to keep looking around.
Groovy.
Hello again.
I'll leave you to your potting.
Come see me anytime.
Hi, Nancy.
Hey, Ned.
What's going on?
I've been having Bess do some sleuthing for me.
You're kidding. I thought you said Bess was a disaster when it came to detective stuff.
I never said that. I mean, I may have said she wasn't particularly adept at snooping.
Ah, but this is not snooping. It's sleuthing.
Exactly.
So how's she doing?
You know Bess, when she puts her mind to something, there's no stopping her. She's doing awesome.
Awesome?
Okay, maybe not awesome, but she's certainly, you know.
Not totally screwing up?
Right.
That's what I figured.
Remember the letter I told you about? The one from the lab guy that probably caused Bruno's fatal heart attack?
Yeah?
Well, when I called the lab guy, he said that in his letter he told Bruno the skull was authentic.
You mean someone faked the letter that said the skull was a fake?
Yep, which means Bruno more or less did die at someone else's hand.
Good grief. Have you told anyone?
No, and I don't think I'm going to. For one thing, I don't want to tip my hand. For another thing, I don't want anyone thinking that skull is the real deal after all.
Which apparently it is.
The only thing those lab tests proved is that the skull is at least 300 years old.